Hello, this is a video of example 1 for Geometry Topic 1, Lesson 5. The essential question for the lesson: how do if-then statements describe mathematical relationships? In the end, you're going to be able to write conditionals and biconditionals and find their truth values, and the vocab is quite extensive for this section. Biconditional, conclusion, conditional, contrapositive, converse, hypothesis, inverse, negation, truth table, and truth value. Let's jump right to it. Conditional statement. A conditional is an if-then statement that relates a hypothesis, the part that follows if, to a conclusion, the part that follows then. So you're going to see the words if and then, and the part that follows if is the hypothesis. If hypothesis, then conclusion. And we want to get familiar with this kind of, I don't know if I can highlight this. No, I can't. Darn it. We want to get familiar with this. P, then Q. This means when you see this arrow, and we're going to use P and Q a lot. The P is the hypothesis. The Q is the conclusion. Too bad they didn't use H and C for the letters, but P, then Q. P implies Q, or we can go with the more traditional if P, then Q. That's what you're going to want to understand when you see that writing with that arrow. That's saying if P happens, then Q happens. Okay? Example 1. Writing a conditional statement. You can register to vote if you are at least 18 years old. Now we want to write the statement as a conditional. It already has the word if, but we need the word then. So I think they're going to rearrange it for us and have the if part first. Don't always have to have the if part first, but all right, first is to identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. I think I already gave it away because of the word if. I know that's the hypothesis. Let's check it out. Yep, the hypothesis follows if. Therefore, the conclusion is probably the other part. Yep. So the conditional, we're going to write it as an if-then statement. So it's a little different. We're going to put the if part first. If you are at least 18 years old, then you may register to vote. And sometimes you need to change the wording. I noticed they changed the word can to you may. So sometimes you want to make it grammatically correct. Well, you always want to make it grammatically correct. So sometimes you can't just do literally this, then this, because you might have to change the wording of it. All right, moving on. Here's a statement. A square must have 4 congruent sides. So let's think about what is the if part, what's the then part, because they don't have either of those words there. A square must have 4 congruent sides. They've identified the hypothesis as this part. The polygon is that a polygon is a square. Conclusion, then it must have 4 congruent sides. So the conditional, and notice they use that word polygon. You're not going to say if a square. That doesn't make sense. If a square. So if a polygon, so we had to add in some words here. If a polygon is a square, then it has 4 congruent sides. And you could have said then it must have. It's okay. There is some allowance in what you're writing. All right, what's this common error? Remember that in everyday language, the hypothesis does not necessarily come before the conclusion. Yeah, it doesn't always come before the conclusion. We could have, I guess, hopefully we can have an example of that later. Moving on. All right, here's where we try it. Here are 2 statements. They want you to write them as conditionals. Hit pause, try them out, and then push play when you're ready. A triangle with all sides congruent is equilateral. I don't see the word if. A triangle with all angles congruent is equilateral. Well, I see the word is, so it's kind of like this is that. So I'm thinking, I don't know if I can highlight this. I'm thinking that might be the if part. if a triangle has congruent angles, I don't know if that's the best way to word it, but I'm going to try. If a triangle has congruent angles, then it's actually if a triangle has all congruent angles, then it is equilateral. While I was typing it, I just realized there's probably a better way to word that. Hopefully you caught it. If a triangle has all congruent angles, I'm thinking there's a better way. I think if I actually reorder that, if I say if all angles in a triangle, whoa, didn't spell that right, triangle, are congruent, then it is equilateral. I don't know. Are they both okay? Is one better than the other? So that's one of the problems. I'm not that great at English, so it takes me a little bit longer to put down the things in words, and that's what we have in this section here. Let's see what they came up with. If a triangle has all angles congruent, wow, I didn't word it either way. Then it is an equilateral triangle. Oh, they have a different way too. If a triangle is an equilateral triangle, then it has all congruent angles. Oh wow, they did it. They said if a triangle is equilateral, then it has all angles congruent. So again, there are different, there's a few ways to write it and still get full credit. That's up to the teacher, I guess, to decide. So hopefully you write it in a way that they like. Let's try this next one. Push pause if you haven't had a chance to think about it yet. Alberto can go to the movies if he oh, I love this one. Alberto can go to the movies if he washes the car. Why do I love it? Great. Well, I love it because of this word right here. If. They already told me the if part. So I just got to make it sound, darn it, I don't think it's going to show up as I type it. If, and I'm going to put Alberto in the front. If Alberto washes the car, then he can go to the movies. I'm feeling really confident about that one. Notice I didn't use the word he. If he washes the car, then it's better to have the pronoun in the second part than in the beginning. You want to use the his actual name here. If Alberto washes the car, then he can go to the movies. Let's see what they wrote. If Alberto washes the car, then he can go to the movies. Nailed it. Feeling good. That looks like it might be the last. Let me just do one quick check. The next thing is example 2. So after doing example 1, you can now do problems 13, 19, 20, 21, and 33. Thank you for watching.